Likewise, it's super. I am without words. No, I'm super happy to see you finally.
Thank you. Yeah, look, it's been a pleasure. We've been talking to each other for quite some time now. It's been years, dare I say. So it's
Yes,
it's nice to finally talk to you, kind of in person through the virtual world. So awesome stuff, man. Good to see you.
yes, good to see you too. I really love your shirt. Lift more than you can.
Yeah. This is one of those Iron Mine shirts. It's just nerding out on all the different Iron Mine things and bits and pieces, but it's good motivation. Every
Yeah.
week, try and lift a little bit more.
Are you into the grip board?
A little bit, to be honest. I haven't looked at it that much recently, but when I first started looking into grip, like I used to look at it quite a lot for various topics. There's so much information on
I have a little memory from the grip board right here.
there. Yes. That's awesome.
One of the t-shirts because I think they are not selling them any longer. But I
Yeah.
wanted to have a couple of them while I could, you know.
Yeah, look, the good board's awesome for just so much information. Like you can search on so many different topics and like current things that are happening just to see what's going on and stuff. And it's nice to see all the different opinions, even though sometimes we might not agree with them. But it's still nice to get everyone else's perspective on things and just get as much info as we can.
I think it's the best place to like be like to know the news about grippers. It's like the
Yeah,
first place where they command, I don't know, certifications or frauds
yeah,
or anything.
yeah. Like the monster, the ladder. That thing is just awesome to see the people progressing through the monster mash ladder, the
Oh,
MM. It's so cool. So just keeping an eye on that stuff is pretty cool. I'd love to join it one day. Are they so they're still doing the monster mash, the what's it called,
the Mash
probably
Monster Ladder.
mash monster.
Yeah.
Sorry, monster mash sounds like a Halloween thing.
No, but it's we understand. It's okay.
Good.
They stopped doing it because the people who was like running the certification, they passed the torch to Matt
Right.
Cannon. So he's now
Yep.
in charge of the board, and he wanted to like renew the whole certification and do new levels and use new grippers and produce like new things. In fact, I think they did an auction with the original Match Monster grippers, and I
Right.
think one of the I think like a big amount of them were bought by Chas Strange and Alex Gia from the US. So they have the original levels, and it's so cool to know that they have it. They are expensive. They were like
Yeah.
so many dollars, you know. But the last thing that I read is that Matt Cannon was like having big challenges to make the new level 10, which was like
Right.
heavier than a GHP 10, something like that. So it
Wow.
was really hard to produce like like with the quality that he wants, like
Yeah.
many backup grippers and to have them shipped through the world. So in the future is coming back, but right now no one is certifying on the Mash Monster. You know,
Unless if we go to the States and ask Chaz or Alex to to head
try it.
over and
Yeah.
give them a go and try them. So that'd
Yes,
be pretty cool too. Yeah, that's awesome.
exactly. So, Artie, let's begin. Welcome
Yeah.
everyone to another episode of Gripsport Latino. Today we have the opportunity to fly to Australia. Now we have our honorable guest, Mr. Artie Zavras. Please correct me and tell me your true name because it's harder to pronounce than, than what I did just right now.
Yeah. So the full name, and I'll add the salutation. It's Dr. Athanasios Zavras. It's a
Doc,
Greek
so
name?
so so not the first doctor dressed in Iron Man that I have on the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, so to be clear, it's not a medical doctor. It's I have a PhD, a doctorate,
Okay.
but it's still nice to add that little detail to the beginning of the name. It's such hard work, like getting that PhD was so hard. I always appreciate using that title. So yeah, but Athanasios is it's a Greek name, and well, it translates to without death. So you know, like the Marvel superhero Thanos. Thanos
Yes.
is death. Athanasios means without death. And Zavras is just like the name that we're from. My father was from Sparta, the Spartan warriors, the 300, and mum was from Kalamata, where they make the olives. So rich Greek history, Greek family, and things like this. But yeah, the name also has a lot of meaning because so for my name, it was from my grandfather's name, and he was named after his grandfather, so on and so forth, back until a long time ago.
And how did your name became into Artie? Or was it like an
Well,
Aussie thing with cool nicknames?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, art is one of these things that kind of came up quite naturally just through friends and stuff. It's so in high school, I always remember, and you know, any school, I remember talking to the teachers, and they'd get to my name because my name is at the last, at the end. Zavras, we read the surname last,
Yes.
and I thought it was always a tongue twister for the teachers, and I used to love it. I used to sit there and wait until the teacher would try to say my name, and they'd be like, "Who's the Greek kid?" You know, so. Clearly, that's my name. You can call me Artie if you want, Miss or Mister or whatever the teacher's name was. And it kind of stuck with friends as well. So a lot of my friends growing up would just call me Artie, which is so the English version of Athanasios, which is another name I go by, is Arthur, and then Arthur becomes Artie. So just an
Yeah.
easy kind of way for people to say it. Yeah.
Excellent. So, the classic first question of my show. Tell me, who is Artie Zavras?
Well, it depends who you ask, but since you're asking me, look, I think for myself, I'm just an easygoing guy. You know, I'm just someone that enjoys kind of, and this sounds very cliche, so I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm just someone that tries to enjoy living their life. Like I don't do anything overly extravagant, very simple stuff. I enjoy spending time with family, enjoy spending time with friends. I love the work that I do and things like that. Um, yeah, just trying to be happy and healthy and keep fit, which is why I'm into all the grip training and all the other stuff. But just your average kind of person, just trying to have a bit of fun.
Artie, and what do you do for a living?
So with me, after I finished my PhD, my doctorate, both my wife and I we went to the federal public service, his government job, and where I am at the moment, I've been there for almost 10 years. It's the Intellectual Property Office of Australia. So it's an administration office. When I started there, I was what's called an examiner of patents. So patents is like for intellectual property for new inventions. If you have a new invention or an idea or something that you can commercialize and get some money out of, you want to protect that with some kind of legal right. And that's where the intellectual property office comes in. And we get hired because of our technical expertise. So my expertise was in chemistry, material science, food science, pharmacology, and pharmaceuticals. And I can use that expertise to understand the new inventions. But the role I have now is quite nice because the title is Learning Community Leader. And it's like a lecturing position. So the new people that come in, all the new chemists, all the new people that get trained up to learn how to apply the law to the specific scientific invention, that's where I go in and I teach them. And we have video calls like this. So I'll have some presentations and some slides and go through examples and things like that. It's very fulfilling for me. Teaching for me, I've always enjoyed. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Artie, I wanted to know, how old are you?
I'm turning 41 soon. So I was born in 1983, and yeah, almost 41. I'll be 41 by the end of the year. I'm feeling it. like the aches and the pains and the injuries that have accumulated over the years kind of have a little bit of an effect. But here is still quite young, you know. And for example, like my grandfather, the guy I was named after, he lived till 107.
Ooh.
But up here, he was still like a teenager. You know, he was still happy, kind of relaxed. Maybe that's why he lived to 107, because he was very mentally like chill and relaxed. So
And Artie, how tall
hmm.
are you?
Mm. I'm not super tall, not short, but kind of in between. 177 centimeters, which is about 5'11", I think that is. I've shrunk over the years as you get older, maybe from all the deadlifting and training as well. But I think I'm like, the last time I checked at the doctors, I think I was 176 centimeters. So I lost 1 centimeter, unfortunately.
And which is your weight class for grip competitions?
Yeah, this has been fluctuating a lot lately. When I competed last year, I think it was last year in Canberra, I got Mark Boylan at Ultra Fitness Strength. He did a comp out of there. That was in the 105 weight class, and I was weighing about 104.5. But lately, I've lost, well, I lost 15 kilos, so I got down
Oh.
to the 93 class, and then I put 5 kilos back on. So if I do a little bit of a diet, I want to stay and maintain within the 93 kilo class, and that's mainly for health. I think just for like not to carry the extra weight on me, to feel a little bit lighter, healthier, give the heart a bit of a break as well.
And to have like an idea,
Hmm.
let's say which are your best grip sport lifts. Let's cover like something from thick bar, something from pinch, the finish ball, maybe those three to start.
Yeah, so I think it really depends. I'd say, and if I were to give you those examples, they'd be terrible. And I can't think off the top of my head what the personal bests are. But some of the personal bests that I've got grip wise would be like a 200 kilogram double overhand deadlift. So that was
It's a
good.
good one.
35 kilogram hub. So the hub has always been really good. And then I'd say, and I think with the hub in competition, I got 30.9 and was a little bit overzealous with the jump I wanted to make, because Joe Hodgson and Glenn Hunter were there, who are amazing. So they added like 5 kilos to it, and I tried to compete with them, but that was nowhere near trying to keep up with those big boys. Um, and then I'd say probably the other one would be, maybe the block is okay at around 35 kg, as a max. But thick bar, actually, thick bar lately has been really bad. Like, it's just every week it's been going down quite substantially, and I just can't get it back. But I kind of have a good understanding of why that's happening. So there's a few issues. Like, I've got some nerve compression in the neck and things like
Oh,
this. But yeah, I've been struggling a bit on thick bar, so I've focused a little bit more on trying to get the strength, the total body strength back a little bit.
perfect. And Artie, I want to know like your sports background. Since you told me that
Yeah.
you have been training for years, but were you like sporty when you were in high school or as a
Yeah,
toddler or college? How was it?
yeah, yeah. Look, so it's the typical story for me in terms of, I did a lot of weight training, weightlifting from maybe about 15 years old, and this was inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger, watching him on the TV and being like, "Oh, how do you get muscles like this?" And it's like, you got to train and lift weights and stuff like that. So I didn't even have any weights. I would fill my school bag with books, and I'd just grab the handle of the school bag and like do that, or get under the bed and bench press the bed and lift heavy bags of sand in the backyard, things like this. Um, but I also have a martial arts background that I did for a very long time. So it's traditional martial arts, traditional karate, and the two disciplines that I trained quite a lot is Shotokan karate, which was more tournament based. It was more like skill-based type training. But then more recently, in the last 5 years or so, I did Goju Ryu, which is a very traditional traditional martial arts, a traditional karate, and that was really well rounded. This was like from grappling to conditioning to strength training. They even have like some grip training that you can do as well. So there's part of the Hojo Undo, which is your basic training. You use things called nigiri game, which is it's like a jar, right? And you fill the jar with sand, and you grab the jar from the lip like this, and it's almost like a hub lift. So you would do certain movements, certain breathing movements with that just to move around. But I think foundationally, the weightlifting when I was young with the martial arts made me very strong and flexible. Those two things probably were what built that baseline level of strength. But I did accumulate a lot of injuries. So with the traditional karate, you put your body through a lot, and there's a lot of things kind of. I never broke anything, but I've torn a lot of ligaments and I've torn a lot of muscle tissue, and that's kind of had an effect. And then the neck issue has been pretty problematic. I don't think it's just from the martial arts. I think from the weightlifting as well, putting a lot of heavy load on my neck. But there's like bone spurs that are pinching in on the nerves there. But still, like, it's one of these things. The injuries don't matter. It's just trying to do what you can at this present point in time and making sure you can still move. I don't do martial arts anymore, so I stopped all that. But the grip training is what keeps me going.
And do you keep doing your mobility sessions? Because I think I had like a glimpse of you doing a side split and like
Yeah.
not any kind of mobility. It was like a good level.
Yeah. I could still do the splits, but not as comfortable as before. So it's pretty painful. And like I think trying to keep that up is important as well as I'm getting older, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of overuse injuries that my body has. So I've got a bit of hip impingement, a bit of shoulder impingement, and things like this. So if I can keep things flexible and I can keep the joints and tissue moving in a healthy way, then I don't feel as bad as I would have if I didn't. So if I didn't have that flexibility and that mobility, I think I would struggle a lot more. But because of that kind of training that I've focused on as well, and sometimes I neglect it, I really shouldn't, but it has really helped me to continue just living life in a good way, so pain-free, almost pain-free.
Did you happen to play any like beach sports like surfing or jogging or riding your bike or something like that?
Not really. So with surfing, for me, I'm almost regional Victoria, which is at the bottom part of Australia, not quite the bottom, which is detached for Tasmania, which is where our good friend Isaac Pitts is, but so a little bit further up on the mainland, we've got Victoria, and it's about, I'd say, an hour and a half drive from the beach. There's no great
Oh,
beaches for surfing here. I like going to the beach, but I've never actually surfed either, so I will admit. And for an Australian, maybe this is unusual, maybe it's not unusual, but it's not something that I've really done. With bike riding, I enjoy doing that. Now we've got to watch out for the magpies. The magpies are swooping and they're attacking everybody. It's like a native Australian bird that gets a little bit aggressive at this time of year. And jogging. No, I don't jog anymore. I used to jog quite a lot, especially when I was doing martial arts. I would run maybe, like an hour and a half a day, and just try and keep fit. A lot of jump rope and skipping, which I still do here. But a lot of the outdoors stuff, the high impact stuff, I've kind of evolved to get away from, and the high risk of injury stuff, I don't really do much anymore.
so Artie, let's go to the to the great stuff of this interview. How did you get into grip, and when did this happen?
Okay, so with grip. as I mentioned previously with Goju Ryu and Shotokan, we've got like some of the traditional focus around grip, but I never thought about it as a discipline. And this was many, many years ago. So I've been training martial arts for over 20 years, 25 years, but never thought about it. I did a little bit of maybe forearm training when I was a kid, just doing the wrist curls and things like this with the dumbbells, trying to build up the forearms when I was doing some weightlifting. But again, never thought of grip as a discipline. It was kind of a side thing. When I first got into grip specifically, this was, as I mentioned, after the neck injury. So I had, at the worst of the neck issues that I had, I couldn't sleep. I maybe slept for like 1 hour a day. And this was in 2019. I went to see a surgeon just to have a look at an MRI, and they said, "Oh, yeah, you have some degeneration of the disc in your neck. You have some bone spurs, and it's causing impingement at 3 different levels on both sides." I was like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And the doctor said to me, "You're going to lose your hand strength, and you're going to lose your grip strength, because those are the nerves. There's 3 nerves on both sides that innervate the hands." And I did all these different tests, and I checked at all the places where the nerves were compressed. And, oh man, this was so painful, because the test that they did, they would put needles into the nerve that make the hands move, and then they'd turn up an electrical impulse, and they would measure how my nerves were conducting. Anyway, long story short, at the end of this, when the doctor said, "You're going to lose your hand strength," for me, I thought to myself, no, I really want to keep my hand strength healthy, and I want to make sure that I keep it strong. And because I've had that prior experience in martial arts and with some forearm training, like in bodybuilding type work and powerlifting, I thought, okay, now I'm just going to focus on grip, nothing else. So I bought my first gripper in 2020, and like I was starting to feel a bit healthier. I was starting to do a lot more yoga to help with the nerve issues, and using my martial arts training just to keep the mobility up. And then I started to focus on grippers. The first gripper I saw was an Iron Mind number 2, right? And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was at that point I was having the nerve issues, so I went to close it. I'm like, oh, so close, but I couldn't get it. A friend of mine in the office had a gripper, and he's like, oh, you should try this. So I went to close it. I'm like, oh, I can't get this. So I bought one and then said, I'm going to close this, and kept trying. And within like a week, I could close the number 2, start clicking out reps. And then you start clicking out some more reps. And then you're like, okay, what else is there? So after that, I started looking more into the Iron Mind grippers and started, collecting the set essentially, which now having the complete set is cool. It's nice to have, but like seeing how far I can get on this. Grippers were the gateway, and that's when everything else started. So I joined Instagram in 2022, I think it was, like early 2022, and I'd see a lot of people. I'd see people like, Joe Hodgson, Ben Cossey, and some of the other Aussie grip guys down here. But Joe Hodgson was the first person that kind of reached out to me through grip and was saying, hey, I thought you've got some grip stuff and you're doing this and that. It's really cool, man. And we started having a conversation, and I started looking at the things that he was doing. I was blown away. I was like, wow, this guy's lifting this amazing stuff. He's doing these amazing things. And I started to research. I love to research things. That's my background. I'm a research scientist. That's where I came from. I just started getting involved in the different ways I could strengthen my grip. And now the collection is, as you see it here, where we've got different thick bar implements, pinch block implements, and all these various things. And it's very much a passion of mine, first and foremost, because it keeps me accountable for my own health of my hands, to make sure that they're, strong and healthy. And it's kind of like, well, the surgeon said, I'm going to have weak hands. I'm going to do my best to have some decently, like, it's not the best, and I know it may never be, but I will always try to kind of keep it above average. And yeah, this is where we're at today. And just meeting all the awesome people through Grip. The community's been really great. The people from around the world have been fantastic. And I mean, after speaking to Joe and watching videos from like Juju Mufu, Jed Johnson, um, a lot of Jed Johnson's stuff was amazing to actually watch. A lot of information. Jed puts out some really good stuff on the internet too. And looking at some of the programs that Jed had was really nice as well. Yeah, and there's all these awesome people doing some awesome feats. So that's kind of where it is for me at the moment.
And when you like in 2022, when you were like talking to Joe and watching Jed and Juji Mufu, how did you started like structuring your workout? Did you had a coach or did you like do your research on YouTube or reading articles like to put grip into your main routine? How did you do it?
Yeah, probably not the best way, and I wouldn't suggest this to anybody else, but I went all in. So sometimes I do the research and then neglect it because I get so passionate about something and I'm like, I love grip. That's all I want to do. I want to train grippers every day, right? So I'm training grippers like every day and I'm frying my nervous system or I'm training all these other things every day and it's too much volume. A lot of trial and error, and then just seeing how other people train, and then starting to do the research once I, you know, because you get really interested. You're like, I love this, but all of a sudden I'm going backwards. It's like, okay, I need to rethink what I'm doing. Um, some of the programs that Jed had were really cool, just to get some structure. So some of the things that Jed would put up was good. And then, yeah, just trial and error for myself. So having that background in training, in a little bit of powerlifting and bodybuilding as well, is like, well, okay, how will I now properly start to structure grip? I need to think about this a bit more carefully. And I've made a lot of mistakes over the past with too much volume. And I had a bit of, some injuries, some tendonitis. Still got some tennis elbow in my left arm. It's been almost a year now, but it's getting better. And now grip is, I would say, every 3 to 4 days I train grip, but it's very methodical, it's very structured, and I'm not hitting it with as much volume as I used to before, but I'm going all out for intensity. So really like super focused, super intense, and tracking the progress and making sure that things are coming up uh, as well as they could be for me.
Are there any particular disciplines that you like to train more?
Yeah, I love training hub. Like hub is one of my favorite things just because it feels good. And I know this is probably the opposite to what a lot of people think. They hate hub. It's like, no, it's the worst thing. Please put it away. Give us a thick bar implement. So I'd say hub is probably my favorite, and blocks, pinch blocks, thick blocks, and probably more like the 2-inch blocks. I really enjoy the 2-inch blocks. And arm wrestling type movements as well. I like to do just for a little bit of variety, but some of the arm wrestling stuff is great to strengthen the wrist. So keeping the wrist nice and strong is something I try to do as well, just to keep that tissue mobile and healthy and strong. I've neglected grippers for a bit. I used to read that, and that was really the focus in the beginning. Just I wanted to close at number 3. Like that's the only thing I wanted to do. But now the goals have shifted a little bit where I still want to get there eventually, but I'd like to tick off some of the feats, in terms of the thick bar implements like the Thomas Inch replica, some of the blobs like the 24 kg Holly blob, and Nathan Holly, who Nathan, awesome guy, top bloke, and such a superstar of the sport, and produces some really fantastic grip implements. His 78 kg inch and the 24 kg bob is something that I'd like to accomplish in my lifetime. That's the goal. If it takes me a few years to get there, then that's fine. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for goals, and really just wanting to focus on the inch.
And Is there any discipline that you don't like to train in your training week?
Uh, no, not necessarily. I think I've structured the program in a way that I'm doing things that I'm just really enjoying at the moment and getting some progress on because, and it's really well rounded. So I've got, some key pinch, I've got some various things that I can focus on that I enjoy. Fin ball, for example, is probably my most hated finish ball, but it's great. It's so good for the thumb for that key pinch. Um, but it's just a brutal. It's just a brutal tool. Like it
But
really. And when that thing slips, when it slips, it comes out of your hand and it hurts.
I saw that you made some replicas in the past. Do you train with
Yeah,
the replicas or with an original finish ball? Which one do you use?
I like to use the original purely for the kind of focus on competition, which sadly I haven't been able to compete for a little bit, just for various reasons. But yeah, I prefer to have the actual implement that's going to be used on the day of the competition because some of the stuff that I've made myself, for example, it doesn't quite have the same texture, although it's a good training tool. And if anything, I'd say if the one that I've made is a little bit harder than the thin ball, then that translates really well, right? Because if you go to use something that's got a good textured surface for a competition and you've been using a shiny thin ball replica, then that's good because it means you'll probably get some better numbers on the day. But for people that are in that top tier, not me, for people like Joe, and some of these other guys like Glenn Hunter, who's awesome on pinball too, like they probably really want to focus on the implement per se and making sure that they're very familiar with how they're going to use that on the day of the comp. So it kind of depends. For me, I just want to make sure that I'm using whatever's available at that point in time. And if it's like the proper pinball, then I'm happy to do that too.
One of the first like images that stick into my mind, like when I knew that you were you, it's
Yeah.
the wooden one that says Artist Grip Gym. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, the gym has a name and a
yeah,
beautiful like I don't know what's the English word, but the like big cartel, let's say,
yeah.
with the name of the gym. It's like, oh, that one is super cool. Please tell me the story of that sign.
Yeah, look, it's actually quite a cute story. I can't remember which birthday it was exactly. So 2022. Yeah, it would have been 2021. So in 2021 for my birthday, my wife, she knew that I was into this grip training and I'd started to have like collecting the items to have in the gym. And this is in a little part of my garage, just in the corner, tucked away. Um, and she saw that this is my sanctuary, basically. Like this is where I go to relax and train and do all the things that I want to do. And for my birthday, she made that for me. So that's the piece of wood that you see. She got the piece of wood. She's very crafty, really good like with making things and doing things. And she designed it for me to be able to hang in the gym. So it was very thoughtful because she says, I really enjoy seeing you training in the gym because it's like relaxing for you and it makes you happy basically." And she just wanted to do that for me. So yeah, this is a very cute origin story where it come from a really nice present that my wife made for me.
Thanks for sharing that story with us, with the Gripsport Latino community. It's an honor, and I really like it. I would love to have like well, a name for my home gym and eventually a sign. I don't have one yet. I mean, I actually thought about calling it like Dune because it's like full of chalk all day. So it's like if it were like the desert, like sand. I don't know, but I am going to think in a cool name in the future, maybe. But
I,
I wanted. Oh yeah, tell me.
oh no, I was going to say. So, would you consider naming it? What language are you going to use to name the gym? You think maybe the native? So it's sorry, it's Portuguese or
Spanish,
Spanish?
Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe in English because I have so many grip friends over the
Yeah.
world, so everybody can easily understand. I
Yeah.
think, but I'm going to think about it. Well, you kind of answered my next question, which was where was the gym located? So I guess it's like your garage, so at your place, your home, right?
Yeah, this is in my home, and you know, it's kind of nice to be. It's the garage is right next to the house, so I don't have to go out anywhere. It's convenient. Everything is very easy to access and kind of get into. And I sometimes have people over if they want to come and train. Like I'm always happy for someone to come and have a bit of a session here. Like there's a couple of us in Melbourne, Victoria, where I am down the south part of the mainland Australia, and so we've got Glenn Hunter, who's not too far away, and then we've got Glenn Crutley, who's also not too far away, and both of these guys are super strong. And then we've got an absolute new and up and coming superstar who's Henry Mullet, and Henry's a little bit further away. It's about a 3 hour drive, so it's not the kind of thing where we could catch up on the weekend every weekend. But you know, these guys are always welcome to come over, and I've always enjoyed having any of them come over here. And sometimes we'll go over and just do like a run through KK, whatever the lifts are for KK, and just have a bit of fun there. But yeah, those are the three guys mainly that are around. And Isaac has been here as well. Isaac Pitts, who you've spoken to, is he travels around. Well, he travels around all over the place. But when he comes up to Melbourne, it's always nice to see him. And you know, it's the door's always open for Isaac and any of the guys to come around. And we're going to also have King Kong. I'll be hosting King Kong here in about 3 weeks' time. Joe and Sarah Rodwell and all these other guys from Canberra, hopefully, and a few other people will be coming as well. So it'll be nice. I'll try and put on a really good show and you know have some barbecue going and just try and get everyone having some fun and lifting some good numbers.
That was one of the topics that I wanted to cover. What made you decide, like, let's say, grab the torch or put the superhero suit and host the King Kong this year?
Yeah, look, I think for me, like I said to you before at the beginning, I'm an easygoing guy, but I like to make people happy and like to do things like this as well. I like to have that community going. So in Greek, we have a thing. It's called philotip. It's like a respect for your friends and for your friendship, and you kind of want to do the best that you can for other people as well, right? It's very fulfilling, and it's something that when you're doing these things, I think hopefully the other people are able to appreciate it and just have some enjoyment out of it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to have some fun and get people together, which is why I said, hey guys, you know, everyone come over to my place this year and let's put on a barbecue. Let's just have some fun and lift some stuff and just, yeah, all be together. So that was kind of why I wanted to do it. I'm sure someone else will want to pick up the torch next time. And you know, Isaac has been great for the national championships and things like this. Like some of the ideas that were kind of how do we get this up and running in Australia were really taken up by Isaac. So in terms of taking the torch, I think Isaac is the one that's been the most fruitful out of that. And, you know, Joe's obviously hosted a lot of things in the past as well. So it was kind of like, let's give Joe a rest. If he wants it, you know, he can have a rest this year and come down and just focus on lifting. And I'll be the one putting the plates up and down and moving things around. So that was kind of the idea, just to give everyone a bit of an opportunity to have a good time and just focus on lifting and eating and having some good food.
And are you going to be the like the Australian venue for King Kong this year? or is any other?
Yeah, I think I'm the only one at the moment. We were supposed to have another couple, but for whatever reason that was happening, I'm not sure that anyone else is hosting. Um, I think I might be the only one. And the difficult thing, so it's really hard in Australia because it's so big. So if I'm the only one hosting, we've got people that have to jump on a flight for 6 or 7 hours from Western Australia, and it'll cost them thousands of dollars to get here. They may think twice about it. It's very difficult. It would be nice if around Australia we could have a few people in different states, but we're going to have to grow the community. Um, and I think this is going to take a bit of work. But things like this might be really helpful, where you put on a good show, right? And you say, okay, we're gonna have some fun together. We're gonna eat some food. We're gonna drink some drinks, and we're gonna lift some stuff as well, and probably get some decent lifts in there too. If people start to see this, hopefully more people around the country of Australia will start to do things, and then it will be easier to get some bigger numbers going. But I hope that ends up being the case. I really hope that more people get into the sport, and that's the other reason why I want to host as well. Right? I want to grow the sport. I want people to see that it's a lot of fun, and it's a very enjoyable thing to do.
And Artie, which numbers are you expecting to pull in this King Kong?
Yeah, so with me, I actually won't compete for King Kong, which I'm a little bit sad about. But I was really hoping to try and get some good numbers. It's just, as I mentioned previously, like the thick bar has gone down consistently. So with training, for example, like every week, maybe you expect a 2% increase, 1% increase. But for me, sometimes it'll be a 1% increase, and then the next week it'll be 20% decrease. And it flares up, it's up and down, and I kind of have to make that assessment and be like, well, maybe I'd get some good pinch block numbers, but I know my thick bar would struggle too much, and I know some of the other things would struggle too much, and I don't really want to put those numbers on the board yet because I'd be going backwards. And then it allows me also at the same time to focus on making sure that everyone else who is competing on the day is going to be good. And they don't have to worry about loading plates and doing things like this. Like, I'm happy to do that for other people. But yeah, sadly, I won't be doing it this year. I think I'll just have to pull out. But we're going to see some good numbers in this gym, I'm sure. Like I said, we've got Joe Hodgson, the two big boys with Glenn Hunter and Glenn Fruitley, Henry Mullet. Like, I'm sure that Henry's going to do an amazing job at lifting some awesome numbers too.
Uh, One thing I forgot to to ask you
Yeah.
was, I think in one of your posts on Instagram, I saw that you have
Yeah.
T-shirts of your grip gym.
Oh, no, actually, it's funny that you say that. So when we had the National Australian Championship, uh, this was in New South Wales, Glenn Hunter was the one that designed it.
Oh,
Yeah. So Glenn was the one that designed it. I had nothing to do with that. That's all Glenn. And he did an awesome job. But he had like Artie's grip gym. It's just a bit of a joke that we kind of had going on. And I looked at it. I'm like, wait a minute, what's this? They had this guy that kind of had the bald head, similar to myself, kind of looked like me, with like the Grecian, the Greek style riding and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But no, that's Glenn. If anyone wants to look at any of those shirts, which I'm not sure what anyone would want it, but absolutely, Glenn's the man to ask for that.
no, but I think, I mean, I saw that one, which was maybe green and golden, something like that. But
Yeah.
I was referring to one who was which was like gray and orange, maybe those colors, like a previous
Um,
version of the artist green T-shirts.
Yeah. Actually, there's another one that my wife made. Sorry, I said I spaced out completely. So with that shirt, my wife made an Artie's Grip Gym T-shirt, um, and she made a couple. One that just says Artie's Grip Gym, just to kind of have, and the other one was like the progression of the Thomas Inch. What was it? The Turkish get up. So where you stand up
Oh,
with the dumbbell. So you pick the dumbbell up and you do the Turkish get up with the dumbbell. She just made some cool things like this. Actually, credit goes to Steph, my wife, for that, because she made some really, really nice shirts for me to have. And I might be able to just show you here. One of the early designs was like this.
oh, I remember that one. The
Yeah,
orange. Maybe it's not orange, but it looks like orange on the
yeah,
screen.
yeah. So this is the material that she makes. Um, I think that's like the leftover transfer plastic for the thing that goes on the shirt. And I just put it on the fridge in the garage, just as a reminder. But yeah, so credit to Glenn, Hunter, and credit to my wife, Steph. But I had nothing to do with it. I just reaped the benefits of all these amazing creative things that people are doing. And it's pretty cool.
And speaking about Glenn's design, he had that shirt for himself, or did he brought it for you? How was it?
He did have that shirt for himself, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I didn't recognize, like, I'm like, oh cool, what's that? And then after a little while, I'm like, oh, Artie's Grip Gym. I go, that's pretty cool.
Is that me?
No. Well, look, we always have a bit of a laugh with each other. I think it's kind of like just having a good laugh, and yeah, and it looked pretty awesome. I'm not sure if he's gonna make more of them. Maybe I should ask him if I can get one for myself. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Artie, I remember when I interviewed Isaac, he told me that you're into gripper calibrations. Tell me more
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Look, so this is something that I started doing just because. And I'll show you. So just because I had so many grippers, this is some of the collection that I got, right?
Beautiful. I love
These are
it.
the GHP, these are the Iron Mines, and these are the ones that were rated by Canon. So I've got various grippers rated by Canon.
Sweet.
Now, the great thing with that was prior to all the, the issues with COVID and like the price of everything going up so much, especially shipping. I used to get a lot of stuff from Matt Cannon, who does an amazing service, and complete props to Matt for doing that. I think it's awesome. But it started to become very challenging to want to get grippers rated, um, sending them to the States and then sending them back and doing the calibration service just ended up being far too expensive. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll give this a little bit of thought. And, that science background that I have, that research background, I kind of said, well, what can I design? What kind of tool can I make to do some calibration? And I designed this. It's a second class lever, let's call it. It's a mechanism where you can put the gripper into the thing, and it translates. So it multiplies the force that you put out, and if you put in 10 kilos of force, it can close down 100 kilograms of pressure on the gripper. And I hooked this up to a load cell, which is a calibration cell for measuring the force output for the gripper closing. I tried to replicate it as much as Matt Cannon's grippers were, so I would use Matt's free-rated grippers as a calibration to ensure that I was getting close to the actual numbers that Matt was making. And it's just something that I wanted to do just to kind of keep costs down for myself and for anyone else in Australia that's kind of interested in having that service done. It's, and I must say, for anything like for people to use Matt, they should absolutely use Matt where they can, if it's for a certification or if it's for anything like that. Like I'm not trying to take things away from Matt. So it was more just for us to have an idea of, okay, we have these grippers. we don't want to spend so much money getting them rated. Let's get an idea for what they might be here. And I just end up putting a little stamp on them, similar to what Matt does. Just so it kind of looks nice, because it's nice to have the number and the tag on things. And it's good for your training, and it's good just to know, okay, roughly where am I in closing this gripper, like what rating is this roughly.
Nice. So well, you already answered this, but I was thinking like, oh, are you going to be the Artie's Power Works from Australia or something like that?
No, definitely not. But if people want kind of a little bit of help, then I'm happy to do it, and kind of just give them an idea for what's going on. And as I said, and people can do this by themselves at home too. So you've got Lucas Raymond with Arm Assassin's Strength Shop. I think Lucas makes some rack mountable gripper rating devices that you can put your gripper into, and you can hang like the weights off it. And there's a bit of finesse when you're rating grippers. There is a little bit of finesse, because being that, and a gripper in and of itself is a second class lever, right? So if you don't get the placement of the strap just perfect, you won't get the number right. The strap placement has to be perfect, and everything has, the conditions all have to be as identical as possible, which is why I used Matt's actual, from Matt Cannon, his pre-rated grippers, to make sure that I'm hitting close to the right number. It's not going to be perfect, absolutely, but it gives you a good idea of what's going on. And at the very least, if people want to get stuff and do it themselves, like if they want to get those tools that you can rate grippers at home, then that's an option too.
And so far, you have been like rating grippers from Team Australia, right? Or anyone outside of the grip community?
Yeah, mainly just people in Australia, like local people. I haven't really promoted it at all, because it's not something that I'm necessarily overly interested in pursuing. It's just something that if somebody local wants a little bit of help in trying to determine what numbers they have for their gripper, then I'm happy to do it. But it's definitely not like a business venture. I'm busy enough with work and everything else. It's not something that I'm overly passionately pursuing, but it's there if people need it.
After I knew that you were like into doing the gripper ratings, I was like, oh, I didn't knew that Artie was this crafty. Well, I saw that you have some devices made from wood, like the finish ball in the past, and some arm wrestling like devices as well. But I
Yeah.
was surprised when I saw the first like Saxon bar that you made, and I was like, "Oh, Artie is like it. He has many surprises." So when I was like checking your Instagram biography, it said that you do metal work. So what else have
Mm.
you built, Artie? Which other crafts and skills do you have?
The first one that I made is probably one of the things that I'm most happiest, and this is the secret weapon.
Oh,
So this is
classic.
like, the classic secret weapon is something that probably I use this quite a bit, because it's nice to just have that feel for like an over crushed gripper, and again, it multiplies the force. So if you put 10 kilos on this, it feels like 30 kilos in your hand. If you put 20 kilos, it feels like 60 kilos in your hand. And it's kind of nice to use some of these things. But I enjoy making a lot of things just because it's for myself. Again, I'm not necessarily making it for other people. And some people will ask, and be like, hey, can you make me something like this? And if I have time and I'm able to do it, then I'm happy to kind of help out there. Um, but it's mostly for my own self-interest, for my own training, because I'll see someone make a Saxon bar. I'm like, ooh, maybe I can make this. Maybe this is something that I wouldn't mind trying. And I have the tools in the garage. I have all the welding material, and I have the skill to do these things over the years that I've accumulated during my research and things like this. Um, and it's that feeling of satisfaction to be like, hey, I made this. It looks pretty cool. I'm happy with it. That's kind of why I like to make my own things as well.
That's super good. And I must tell you, the Saxon bar that you made was class. I love it. It looks
Yeah, thank
like
you.
super good. Like it was like silver, and man, I could tell that it was straight. So man, I really like it. It's good
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have the
Look,
chance to build a 3x4. Here in Chile, we don't have that measurement like the 3x4 to make a Saxon. So I am still figuring out how I'm going to make one, but it's not easy yet.
yeah, yeah. It was actually very fortunate too because I had. So you've probably seen Henry Mullet, who he's a fabricator, and that's his trade.
Yes.
And Henry has made some pretty awesome stuff. But the reason why mine was so straight was very great thanks to Henry, who, when he was here, he looked at the concept that I had for making the Saxon, and then he laser cut
Ooh, perfect.
all the pieces that I can put at the end of the Saxon, and that would center the loadable sleeve. So I'd put the sleeve all the way through, and it kind of would sit very nicely. So yeah, shout out to Henry for laser cutting me some of those materials so I can actually make things. And, it looks good and it's straight and everything's perfect. And I think if you put the investment into making sure that okay, I'm going to try something and I'm going to try and make it well, and you talk to people, and if you can get help from someone where you can, then it just makes the product so much better.
Perfect. Actually, uh, I haven't uploaded any of the episodes of this season yet. And I don't know if you know, but the first one is Henry Mullet. So I had my chat with him as well. I have covered more people from Team Australia this season, you know? And yeah, he's a really great fabricator and
Yeah.
upcoming superstar of this sport. It's ooh. The people from the world and from the US must be like shaking right now after his numbers.
Man, I will admit, like, I'm blown away, genuinely, absolutely amazed. Uh, yeah, he's going to be a superstar, and he's still very young and fresh in the sport. So I mean, you spoke to Henry, and you probably got a good idea of how young and fresh he is. Yes, he has some strength background. He's done some arm wrestling and stuff, but to be pulling those numbers for someone that hasn't really, really specifically trained grip for that long, I can just imagine in 5 years' time, like, it will be amazing to see where Henry lands with this. And I wish him all the very best. I really, really hope that he pursues this and continues to inspire a lot more people in Australia and around the world to
Yeah.
actually continue gripping the sport. So amazing to see. Yeah, absolutely.
Artie, I want to know which are your sports goals, I mean, grip sport goals for the remaining 2024 and probably for next year. What would you like to accomplish?
I think most specifically, I want to continue building my base strength again and working through some of those injuries that I've had. So I had some lower back injuries. I've got the tendonitis that I've been pushing through. Once my body feels stronger and healthier, then I really kind of want to focus back in on the grip and be like, okay, now I have some very specific numbers in mind, like working toward the 24 kg blob, the Holly blob is something really that I would like to tick off, absolutely. And being able to, I think, again, in terms of ticking off, the 78 kg in is something that I want to be able to lift cleanly at some point in time. Um, yeah, those are kind of the two things that I'd really like to work at. And if I can start inching closer towards a 40 kilogram hub, then I'd be really happy with that too. So the hub like for me, is something that I'm very passionate about, trying to get the numbers higher and higher and higher. And yeah, that's probably the main goals that I have. And hopefully, sometimes we have too many goals for grip, and this is a problem because it's like I want to do everything, but I would like to also get more comfortable and get to like closing a number 3 gripper, not necessarily credit card set, just through a mesh again. If I can get back to that comfort level of closing a number 3, then I'll be happy.
And which has been your best gripper close like ever in RGC?
The best gripper, yeah, I can't remember exactly the RGC, but it was a GHP7. That was, I think it's roughly like a number 3, which is about 147. It wasn't a high rated one. I'd say about 147 RGC, and that was at my peak. That was the one that I could kind of get and keep closed. I was really happy with, and now it's sitting at about. It's come down quite a bit, so it's sitting at about 125, which is, I can still close at 2.5 maybe, but that's kind of where it's at the moment. So if I can get it back to roughly mid 140s or 150, I'll be really happy.
Excellent. And since you mentioned the blobs,
Mm-hmm.
which blobs do you have in your collection? Like, I assume you haven't lifted the whole 24 yet, are you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Correct.
Which ones do you have
Let me take you.
to train? Like,
Let me take you for a tour. So this is the
nice
garage.
artists. Oh, you have many.
Yeah, these are
Awesome.
the blobs here. So
Beautiful.
it starts from a 50, half
Yes.
50, and then 60, and then 70, and then I think this is a 85. This one is very slippery because the paint on it is very hard to grab. And this is, I think this is the 85 as well. Actually, maybe that's a 75. This is 85, and that one's a 95.
Oh.
So those are your clubs that I got, which were amazing that I got from eBay very, very cheaply for shipping. So I kind of jumped on that straight away. I thought I've got to get these because it's rare to have shipping so cheap in Australia. Um, and the price was very reasonable. So that's kind of why. And then the other two blobs that I have. So here we've got Nathan's 24. That's what I've got my eyes set on. And the big one,
Oh.
this is the 35.
Giant.
Mm. And maybe, again, for me, maybe not in my lifetime, but we didn't have one in Australia. So the whole reason why I wanted to get that was not for me to lift it because maybe I never will, but just so we have one that people can try and they can come here and they can give it a go, see if they can lift it. And I have a suspicion we've got some strong guys here. There is the potential that it may get lifted. Nobody's lifted the Holly 35 to date at this point in time. And Nathan was kind enough to send it to me quickly so I can get it in time for King Kong. So
Oh.
hopefully someone can give it a go and see if they can maybe lift it off the ground or lift it completely. You never know.
And maybe you know the number well, but which has been the best blob that Henry has lifted to date?
Uh, I think that so it was amazing at the competition in Canberra. Henry just kind of ploughed through some of those blobs that were there after the comp. But the heaviest one that I've seen him lift on Instagram was, I believe it was around 30 odd kilograms, but it was one that was machine made by the people that he works for at the machining place. And I would say that thing was big, like 30 kg for a blob is huge. He got it up. So I have my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that he can come and really get this one up off the floor. and it would be amazing because it would be the first person to ever lift it. And we've got other people like Yarlin Worley in the States
Yeah.
who is pretty well accomplished at blobs. He's getting close, so Yarlin's starting to get close. But yeah, I suspect if anyone can do it here, it's Henry, maybe Joe. Joe's Joe's like a grip savant, right? So he's like a grip genius. He can just think about things and he's not only very clever about thinking about grip, but he's very strong. So, maybe if he can find like a little spot where he can pick it up and try and get this off the floor. I'd love to see either Joe or Henry lift this thing. And I would just be very happy for anyone to come here and try.
And Artie, are you open to like travel to some other countries for grip events or for grip competitions in the future? Do you have that in your mind?
I think I'd love to. This is something definitely that it's the grip community is really nice. So being able to go to see people that I've spoken to on Instagram, like yourself, for example, if I was to come to Chile, which would be awesome, I'd love to see you in person and just spend some time together and lift some things together and just talk and get to be familiar with each other. But it's something that I'd like to do in the future. In terms of competing, if I can get my body strong enough again and my hands and the nerves, then I'll be happy to actually get in there and try and lift some things myself. But I probably wouldn't be going to compete. It'd just be for fun, talking to new people and things like this, and being a part of the sport that I love. For example, the national championships that we had in Australia, it was in a different state, but I flew there for the day, flew back home the next day because I just wanted to spend some time with the people up there and be like, hey, how's everyone going? See some of the awesome lifts that people were doing, meet some new people, talk to some new people as well. Yeah, definitely. So to answer your question, yes, I would travel for sure. I'd love to see like the Arnold or the Olympia and go up there and see the arm lifting competitions there, and maybe like some of these international comps would be cool.
I have one question from the audience, and it's
Mhm.
from your fellow Australian friend, Mr. Isaac Pitt. Pinch by pinch. He wants to know which state would win in a grip contest? New South Wales versus Victoria.
Oh, look.
Can you name which athletes are in each state? I know that
Okay.
Isaac is from Tasmania, so
Isaac's out of the
it's
question.
yeah, it's out of the question.
He's off the mainland. But look, if he were to come in, we'd be happy to take him for Victoria. But let's go state by state. So New South Wales, we've got Tom Denmead, who pound for pound is probably one of the strongest guys I've ever met in my life. So strong for grip. And yeah, pound for pound, Tom is amazing, and he can keep up with people much heavier than him, which is awesome. Then you've got Will Fuggle from the 83 kg class, who's awesome. Will is so strong. It's incredible. And yeah, just the numbers that Will can pull are just completely out of this world. Then you've got Joe Hodgson, one of the pinnacle guys in grip in Australia. So Team New South Wales is looking good, but wait, let's wait for the comparison. And you've got Ben Cossey, who's up there as well. Ben is also a super strong climber. And who else? I hope I'm not missing. Oh, we've got Pat up there as well. It's a pretty good team. I think Luke Reynolds might be from New South Wales. I'm not entirely certain where Luke is from, whether it's New South or Queensland, but decent team. Now, let's come back to Victoria. I'll start off with me. I'm not much of a concern. It's okay. But we've got some other guys, right? So we've got Glenn Hunter, who's like so strong with some of the fin ball lifts and the hub lifts, and he's just a really well all-rounded athlete. Then you've got Glenn Cruitley, who is exceptionally strong on so many things, but really stands out with pinch and thick bar implements. And Glenn was someone that I made one of these 2 and 3/8 inch axles for, and he pulls some awesome numbers on that. So you've got the two Glens, myself, but then we've got Henry. So I'll just leave it there. We've got Henry. It's like the Marvel movies. We've got a Hulk. We've got a Henry. So I think Team Victoria is pretty good.
Excellent. And I remember an athlete from Team Australia. I haven't seen him much on Instagram lately. Rudy. Who is he from?
Oh, Rudy.
Where is
Rudy.
he from?
Rudy's up in Queensland. Super nice person. Absolute, genuine superstar. So Rudy hasn't been competing much lately for various reasons. But big shout out to him. And he's from Team Queensland, up to the very north of Australia, the northeast side of Australia being the big continent that we are. So Rudy is quite far away, but he gets some really good numbers too, and there's some good athletes up in Queensland as well.
Have you seen the episode of The Gift of Grab?
Which episode was this, or any episode, or?
No, any episode of that podcast with my friends Will and Haley.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was the first one, and I've got a few to catch up on now. But it looked like a really good show, like a really relaxed, chill, interesting show.
They always say like, "Oh, this is an anonymous question that I'm going to ask." I thought about saying that this is an anonymous question, but this is myself. So, what should we do to make Ben Cossey come back to compete on Gripsport? What should we do?
I'm trying to bribe Ben with food. Like it's like, hey man, we're gonna have a Euros, we're gonna have Slovakia, we're gonna have all this stuff. But if Ben can come back and really focus in on grip, I think that would be amazing because he's just unbelievable, super strong, right? And I don't know. Ben, I'm happy to take any suggestions. So maybe I should reach out and see how I can bribe him to come and compete in King Kong. I'll send him another reminder after our conversation.
Yes. I am going to ask him myself, like, hey man, are you doing King Kong this year? Like something like that, because man, he's such a talented individual. I understand he's super competitive as well. And since you mentioned Tom Denmade, I think he's like keeping the proportions. It's like the Tom Denmade to Henry. It's like he can lift like similar to Henry, being so much lighter. It's like, oh man, a really like competitive teammate to have out there in your venue.
Oh yeah, so, and Ben's super nice. He's very knowledgeable too because he's a physiotherapist with his background as well. Not only is he an amazing climber, an amazing grip athlete, but he helped me out quite a lot with a few injuries that I had, and I had a bit of a chat to Ben about some of these things to kind of help me get back and just fix some of the. I had like an A2 pulley injury in my left hand, and then the tendonitis injury in my left hand as well. And Ben was super, super helpful and knowledgeable on that stuff. So not only is he a great athlete, but he's a top bloke. He's a really good guy.
And he's super nice. I remember when I interviewed him. Oh, he was so nice. It was. Yeah. I mean, I always had like. I have to like speak in advance with my Australian guests because of the time zone difference, and he was like having a time at night, and he was like, "Oh no, I had a coffee. I have no problem. I have all night to to chat."
Yeah, super nice. Yeah.
Artie, do you happen to have any question for me? Whatever you'd like to ask.
Yeah, so what's going on in terms of how things are coming up with the scene in Chile? Are people getting more interested? in competing in grip, and what are you doing specifically to kind of get that interest going? So what are you doing to promote the sport of grip for people there?
Where here the scene in Chile it's growing, yes. Uh, I had like several months, like from January to August, where I could focus 100% on Gripsport Latino. So I did. I think there were 21. I know the number because I do these Instagram like highlight stories, and I put the number on them. So I have been doing like 20 sport park sessions. Actually, I wanted to tell you that the inspiration was something that Joe said. I think it was on the episode of the Grip Show where they had Joe there. He said that he picked up like a blob or a couple of grip tools to a park and tell people like I am going to be there, come and try the to lift something. And he was like I mean, I had the feeling that he stopped doing that because it was not so successful, you know. But I said I am going to do the same here in Chile, and it was like super good. People coming here like to work out, to try. And so I am doing these park sessions. This year I have done two championships: the Genesis Grip Contest and the Gripsport Latino Classic. Recently, they have both been good contests. It's pretty like heavy to be a host and to compete and try to perform well. So I totally understand you that when you tell us like I am not competing on King Kong, just hosting and making sure everybody is having a good time because that's a full-time job. Actually, I have to confess that on this year King Kong I am hosting as well. Well, another thing that I'm doing to promote the sport, I am hosting for the first time. And since you can like host multiple days, I am going to have a main venue like for all the team and another small one for me and a couple of other individuals who can make it to the first one. So I'm going to be more laid back, you know. I mean, since starting from our second contest, I let's say hired because I am paying people to come and being loaders, scorekeepers, and judges. I mean, there are friends of us, but I am paying them for doing the job like professionally. So I have like less load on my shoulders, so to speak. And on in these sessions, we are going to have like the same conditions, but it's going to be easier to compete and perform well, like not being in charge of 20 people competing and eating and having their weigh-ins and all the stuff. Because after the previous contest that we did, I didn't perform as well as I wanted, and I think that as well as I could. I mean, I did well, but I wanted to like to be better, so I'm going to try to compete like on a smaller venue. And another thing that I am doing to make the thing like bigger in Chile, it's uh, doing a lot of social media work, like many reels, many stories. And when someone comes asking me for anything about grip, I stop anything I am doing and I give you all the knowledge that I have. And if I see that someone is like really interested, I am like, hey, next Saturday we are going to the park and we are going to have a training. Would you like to come? And that's how most of the like most loyal team members have come to us, and we have a training session, and that's the main thing that we are doing. And also I am building equipment as well and selling loading pins, rolling handles, finish balls, pinch blocks, and B-bars. That's like the main thing. I like started like learning how to weld last year, and right now I think I have decent skills to make like durable grip tools that won't break when you are using them on training. So that's another thing that I am doing, and man, there are many other things that we want to do, like many other championships that not necessarily they don't necessarily need to be like GSI. We haven't done any arm lifting events like with Grips for Latino. That could be like a cool thing to do in the future. Um, we are like about to, how to say it. I am like a one-man army right now with Grips for Latino. I have the help of
Yeah.
everyone, but no one has like a spot or a charge in
Right.
the organization. I mean, I have no vice president. I mean, I must mention my wife that she is like my right hand on everything. She goes to all my contests. Actually, when I went to the US to compete in grip, she was there with me the whole day, like all the hours at in the house of Alex Guilla. So she's with me in all of this. But I mean, I have no like any in charge of the marketing or of the making shirts or anything. So I have to like uh, give the responsibility to the members of the team. So yeah, that's one of the things that I want to do to make the sport grow. I want to mention that since we did our second tournament, uh, some grip friend from the south of Chile flew like he took a plane like 5 hour maybe. But yeah, we have
Yeah.
people in the south of Chile as well, like into the sport, and I told him, man, you have so many official grip equipment, like things from Nathan, the grippers, rolling handles and stuff. Many things from Arm Assassin, and I was like, man, why don't you host a championship and we travel south and go there and compete? And he was like, man, maybe next year we can do it because I have everything right here. If he is not familiar like with English, to send an email to GSI and host, I can help him. But yes, we want to grow, and this is like a super personal thing. I want this sport like to grow with quality. I don't want to have like thousands of people into the sport super fast, like the entrepreneurship philosophy that some guys have on TikTok. I want this to grow like well, and to have people who wants to stay for a long time and who wants to grow like as a team. So that's pretty much what we're doing right here. I wanted to tell you that lately I have been dealing with so many injuries myself. So I am feeling like,
No.
yeah, but it's like man, so many tiny things that bother
Yeah.
you so little just for grip, but they
Yeah.
do nothing bad on your daily life. It's like
Yeah.
if you stop doing grip, they go away. And that's one of the main reasons I stopped doing grippers lately, because I had like some pain right here, like in the knuckle, and I haven't been able
Yeah.
to go to the doctor yet. So I don't know what do I have, and I don't want to like stop my preparation for King Kong because I am hosting.
Yeah.
I already paid the $100, so I have to compete and I
Yeah.
have to do everything. So I am like saving this hand. I did my workout before our chat, and it went pretty well. My right hand is still alive, but yes, it's like it can be hard if done by myself, and too much volume can kill you. I remember my
Really?
like my first days with the grippers. I was like greasing the
Yeah.
groove, da 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 da, until my finger was like, oh, pain right here. 3 months
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. And because we're so passionate about it, it's like you just want to keep one more set, one more set, one more rep, and then it kind of wreaks havoc on the body, especially that tendon loading in the hands and the fingers and things like this. It's very easy to injure things. But yeah, yeah. So are you on a program at the moment? You with the coach? I think I saw you were with Sam. Is it Sam?
Fat Muscle Coaching.
Yeah,
Sam
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sam Salami. He has been my coach since 2021. And it has been so like unfortunate, let's say it, because in all these years I had no pain and no injuries at all except for this last month. It's like, well,
Yeah,
as I told you before, I was 100% focused on Gripsport Latino since January to August because I had no job. I lost my job in
yeah.
January and I was searching for
Mm,
a new job. And I must tell you, man, this was the most epic season of training ever because I didn't have to go to a job and wake up early
yeah,
and all that stuff, and I could eat a lot of food, sleep like a baby. I was remembering, oh,
yeah,
this is like when I was in high school or the first years of college, not like a
yeah,
real grown up life. you know and then I came back to work like in August. I have been like with this new job in a new position as an acquisition specialist. So it's like learning a new language in a super huge company. I am working in the subway company of Chile. The one that here in
sure.
Santiago, super complex, and it's like top of the line,
Mhm.
like one of the best in the world. So it's super complex, a lot of work to do, and they treat you like if you were working there for 10 years. It's like
Oh,
you're
wow.
supposed to know everything. So I mean
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons of my like elevated stress, and maybe that lead me to
yeah,
have injuries. I don't know. But yes, Sam, it's my coach, and he is super great because man, I give him like daily feedback, and he is able to like adapt the routine, so I
yeah,
can, I mean, keep training even if I have like some pains in my hand, and make me progress and be able to get to be stronger. So he's great, and he's really passionate about grip. I wanted to tell you this anecdote. One of my previous chapters was with Tom Lymath from Gods of Grip in the
yeah,
UK.
yeah, yeah.
So I told him, "Hey, are you planning to host King Kong this year?" And he was like,
Mhm.
"Actually, no." And he looked like on the back of his gym, and he was like, "I have everything needed for King Kong this year." And he was like, "I am signing in this year." So I told
Awesome.
so I told Sam, Tommy is going to host King Kong. You should go. And he was like, all right, I am going in for the King Kong. So I hope he pulls big
Yeah,
numbers as well. Actually,
yeah.
Sam focuses his training on inch dumbbells, blobs,
Okay.
and hubs. Like he
Yeah,
likes to use like the jerk plates, the blobs
yeah,
and the
yeah.
inch, and that's his main training for grip. What I'm trying to say is he won't touch any V bar or any finish ball for his preparation.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's not interested. He's like, oh, I don't care about
Yeah,
that, or maybe he's like, I am going to prepare myself with the fits, and I mean, the finish ball or V bar are going to be byproducts of the rest of my training. So we are going to see how much he can pull. But he is going to pull big numbers in general. He has an elite grip.
absolutely. Like I've seen some of the stuff he's done with the inch dumbbells and things like this. Absolutely phenomenal. And that's obviously going to translate to all these other things as well. Yeah, it'd be really good to see what Sam can pull. Hopefully, get some good numbers.
Yes, Artie. Last words belong to you. Which final
Okay,
message would
good.
you like to share to the grip sport community worldwide?
Thank you. Look, I think worldwide, it's such a beautiful thing where we all get together and kind of are very supportive of each other, and just maintaining that support and seeing the sport grow, I think is something that's going to be amazing. And from my own personal perspective, even if you have injuries, work within your means. Don't hurt yourself. Like, don't make things worse. But the nice thing about grip is, well, if you hurt one particular aspect, you can do a bit of key pinch. You can do something different. There's always some kind of grip thing that you can do, and just to keep things moving. And it's great for the body, it's great for the mind, and hopefully, yeah, it just continues to grow with the quality that you were mentioning before. And I'm always also, if anyone ever wants to talk about grip, I'm always happy to talk about things. We've been talking now for like I think 90 minutes, but it's so easy to talk about grip with people from around the world that you've never met before in your life. So anyone, feel free to reach out at any point in time.
Excellent. So, Artie, I wanted to thank you for your time. And if you happen to see this episode, and are you hoping to see more, there's going to be more episode of Gripsport Latino traveling around the world with cool friends like my friend Artie from Australia and so many more. So, guys, thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for the next ones. Goodbye, Artie. So,
Thanks, Bunty.
I
Pleasure
am
talking to you, my friend. Thanks so much.